So, Rosie, on the day that Noasaka showed up and took you to the hospital, was it a willing transport?
No.
Did you tell her that you were unwilling to go to the hospital?
Yes.
And what happened when you told her no?
She did it anyway.
What did she do to make you get in the car?
Told me that Elly was going to die, or if I didn't take Elly, she was going to die.
And did she do anything else?
Nope, and that was it.
Did you tell them anything else when they showed up asking about taking you to the hospital?
No.
Because I myself, for the record, when I talked to Noasaka, I told her that we would willingly accept a transport to an after-hours clinic because I know the hospitals have social workers in which can be more biased towards leaning towards CPS in the state than they are the parents. And we have dealt with this plenty of times before already through Hurley and McLaren down. Well, yeah, I'm not sure. We got to go over all the documentation. We have a few of them, but how did they make you feel when they showed up?
Scared.
Do you feel they forced you into the car?
Yes. Forced me and Grandma both.
So do you feel like you were kidnapped at that point in time?
Yeah, Grandma and I both did.
So this is a public service announcement to bring it to everyone's attention. This is Rosie herself standing here expressing how she felt. Saginaw County incarcerated me and her both for 6 days, and they waited until I was out of Roscommon County. Anytime they could have served me with that, but they waited until I got out and started contacting the prosecuting attorney and the foster care service and everyone else, letting them know that I wasn't backing down. They stepped on our rights, and that's when they showed up with the warrant to arrest us and silence our voice. And if anybody pulls the FOIA, you can see Rosie does have a mental disability. They had her so traumatized, she crawled under the bench crying. She shouldn't even have been in jail. Neither one of us should have been. And they willingly and knowingly threw us in jail against a violation of our rights, time and time again. And here's Rosie standing before everyone telling you guys that she did not willingly get in that car. 2 armed officers showed up, and Kaylee Noasaka, I believe that's how her name is pronounced, a CPS worker of Saginaw, committed a state-funded kidnapping with 2 state officers assisting her after a judge had thrown out a warrant for the seizure of our children. She showed up with 2 armed officers who swore under oath to protect our rights and willingly and knowingly watched that CPS worker force Rosie into the car after a warrant was already thrown out. And it was forceful. It was through coercion. She used Rosie's mental disability against her to scare Rosie to the point to where she literally feared for the baby's well-being, as well as her own with the officers. And same thing with Grandma. My mother's traumatized to the point I keep trying to ask her to talk about it, and she doesn't want to. She's so upset. She starts shaking every time I mention it. Our family is so traumatized from the situation in which they've caused. So
It's a big mess.
It is. We just want our babies back home. The only thing I'm ever guilty of is loving a woman with a disability. 13 years we've been together. We're sticking through it. 7 babies because we love one another. We're not backing down. We will find the assistance to assure every I is dotted and every T is crossed on the lawsuits, and we're working our way right on up. I know we have to file several different things. We've got to go through the paperwork, the discovery pack, and find all the officers' names. We got to file grievances through their different law enforcement agencies. So 2 through state troopers, as well as all of them through Saginaw. We were informed a while back we probably should have started on that earlier, but we are going to get to it now. We're going to try to find the assistance. Because like I said, you can see Rosie got a disability, and I do too as well. I have a social disability, and it's on record. Hush up. No, Brindle. Me and Rosie both were in special ed our whole lives because of our social and learning disability. And I do kind of believe that's part of that's a huge reason why we've been targeted back during Hurley Hospital. Is another one we've got to try to go for because they wrongfully discriminated against Rosie because she does her stemming. She gets upset. Show her arm real quick. And she'll bite her arm when she gets upset. That's callus. It's not bruise from her biting her arm. She stems because I do believe she's on the spectrum, and they do too as well in regards to she had lead poisoning when she was younger. I don't know. Mine's more of just a hereditary, like more of like dyslexia, as well as I don't know how to. Sometimes I have issues with socializing. I don't register social cues sometimes, and I say kind of awkward things. And Rosie's kind of the same way. So we both were in special ed our whole lives because of that. So I do believe that's part of the reason why we are being targeted, because we are easy targets. But Joycey should be at church tomorrow. We're hoping everything goes right and she'll be there. And we're going to reach out to the people of the church and see if there's anyone and everyone who's available to see if we can get assistance helping with the cabin. Yay, the cabin. As well as we're going to see if we can possibly talk to the person or two to see if we can get some assistance with reading and understanding court documentation, and someone who has a little bit better writing than we do. Because of the dyslexia, I write D's instead of B's, and B's instead of D's, and Q's instead of P's, and P's instead of Q's, and like O's and OU's and AU's and AO sounds. They all jumble in my head improperly, and a lot of the words I actually know I was taught in special ed through sight words through the spelling books. I forced myself to learn sight words, so a lot of the things I just see and recognize as a word, and it takes a lot more for me to try to actually spell it out and try to hear it through because of the mind jumbling everything like it does. But yeah, so we are going to try to go through the church and see if we can get a little bit of assistance, see if we can get a person or two to help. But I was going over here. I do believe in the morning when he has a completely empty crop, he can put off a couple crows. He got about 6 of them in today. And that was it. Other than that, he's been quiet. But that other bugger right there rolling around in the dust bath, he's been quite noisy. He's starting to find his voice. We got to get him a collar. But I did want to share that with you in regards to Rosie outright telling you guys that she did not feel comfortable. She felt intimidated. She was fearful for herself and the baby's well-being. But 2 state troopers who were sworn under oath to protect our right, they willingly stood beside that CPS worker knowing that she didn't have a warrant. It was a violation of our 4th Amendment right. After a judge threw out a warrant and said they had no ground to stand, she showed up with 2 armed officers and forced Rosie into the back of a car and made her go to the hospital. That's the only evidence they have that they're trying to stand on. And at this point in time, like I said, maybe there was a little truth to it. Maybe Elly blood sugar did get a little low with Grandma's health condition getting as bad as it was, and Rosie having her little bit of a condition that she has. But the judge up north in Roscommon, Judge Beebe, was informed that if she arrested me, I was the sole provider. She arrested me, that she would be making a bad mistake, that my family would suffer. And it's not just the children. If you look at Rosie's mugshots when they incarcerated her, compared to the day of when the cops showed up, and I have it on video too, when they showed up, the big reason why we're going through this, they showed up and I told them, 4th, 5th, and 6th present probable cause of your trespassing, leave immediately. And they looked at me and said, it's a welfare check. We don't have to present probable cause, but because I was a straight asshole and I cussed them out and I said quite a few things I probably shouldn't have said. Yeah. So I stirred the kettle. I was the one that stirred the pot, to be honest, but they didn't really have no rights to do with them what they did. They threw me in jail. I guess they had the rights to do that because I did a failure to no-show. But once they showed up with the state trooper, the two state troopers, after a judge threw out a warrant, that was the complete violation point right there. Every evidence in which Saginaw County has 100% points towards CPS lying. And the only thing they're having to stand on is the evidence in which they wrongfully obtained through the violation of our Fourth Amendment rights through a state-funded kidnapping after a judge threw out a warrant. They still showed up with two state troopers and seized our child and took her to the hospital. That's our judicial system, people. Through this whole time, they've been repeatedly told to stop violating our parental rights, but they won't. They keep doing it. It was court orders put in to ensure our parental rights will be respected, and our parental rights are still being violated. Well, I think they just finally realized the doo-doo is hitting the fan. So, like I said, we are going to have to file through for the first one. Lawsuit's probably going to be towards Wellspring, because they did. We have provable evidence on the text messages to the case management that we wanted our children to be in church for the Christian lifestyle to be respected, and they refused up until like the last month. They just now have gotten the kids into church and Bible study and Bibles. So, as well as they literally had, the court had to put in a court order for them to stop violating our rights, our parental rights, because the court does not have jurisdiction over our family. We still have full rights. It's part of the reason why they arrested us, because they knew that I would have found out if they didn't have nothing stopping us. If they wouldn't have put the third and fourth degree child abuse charges on us, we could have walked out the facility with our children. So they had to put it on us. They arrested us to ensure that we had on bond, that we couldn't be left alone with our own children, so we couldn't walk out the facility and practice our parental rights. They silenced our voice and then turned around and tried to use that silence as blackmail to contempt us, to blackmail us and coerce us into claiming guilty to something we're not guilty of. When they commit, they're guilty. They are the ones that violated our parental, civil, and constitutional rights. And we just got to start filing the lawsuits and working our way up. We will find the assistance since this has all started. We have not backed down, nor I will back down. They ask me, what's a strong suit that I can state that I have? And I'll tell you what, one of the strongest suits I have is being bullheaded. And even if it means I got to use my own damn head to take down a block wall, I will, if that's what I have to do to get my family back. We'll be where we need to be. He'll make sure of it. The Lord will put us where he needs to, and he's got our back. We will win this fight ahead, and we'll keep winning them. Well, thank you guys for watching and listening to what I had to say, and listening to Rosie. Like I said, he found his voice. I got to go adjust the collar, I think. I thought it was maybe full crop, but no. That's him. That's the crow collar. After the second day, he managed to adjust it to work. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening to what Rosie had to say. I'm going to try to see if I can get down and talk to Grandma and see if Grandma will actually chit-chat with me. As you can see, some of the fruit did get missed on the garden. We got hit with the frost, and some of it just kind of went a little mushy. It was such a heavy frost. We're getting ready to pick it up. Any of the stuff that's halfway decent, we're going to toss the chickens. But thank you guys for watching, and remember, keep it growing. Don't forget to practice your rights. Be respectful, but always question, is this right or is this wrong? If it feels wrong, do a few more questions. Find out. We've already lost so many of our rights, it's not worth losing anymore. Thanks again.